The day the aliens came changed everything. Not with a bang, but with a yawn. The massive ship hovered over New York, its shadow stretching across the city like a dark blanket. Everyone expected war, or at least some grand speech about taking over Earth. Instead, the aliens sent down a small team who looked almost bored. "We are the Galactic Federation," said their leader, a tall blue-skinned being named Doran. His translator device made his voice sound flat and emotionless. "We have come to help your struggling planet." Tom Reed stood at the back of the crowd, watching with narrowed eyes. As a former military captain now working for NASA, he had been invited to this first meeting. Something felt off about these aliens. They didn't seem interested in Earth at all. "Your species has potential, but you are far behind," Doran continued. "We will give you aid to help you advance." Within a week, large containers began arriving from space. The Federation called it humanitarian aid, but when officials opened them, they found what looked like junk. Broken devices, half-melted metal parts, cracked panels. It seemed like the aliens had sent their trash. "This is an insult," said General Wilson at the emergency meeting. "They're treating us like beggars." Tom stayed quiet, studying the pieces laid out on the table. One particular object caught his eye, a small cylinder with strange markings. While others argued, he slipped it into his pocket. That night, in his small apartment, Tom examined the cylinder. It didn't look like trash to him. The design was too precise, the material unlike anything on Earth. He called the one person he knew could help. Maya White arrived within an hour, the best engineer Tom had ever known. Maya had been passed over for promotions because she questioned everything and everyone. Perfect for this situation. "So the aliens gave us their garbage?" Maya asked, taking the cylinder. Her dark eyes widened as she examined it. "Wait, this isn't garbage. This is..." She stopped, looking up at Tom. "This is advanced tech, really advanced." "That's what I thought." Tom nodded. "But why give us broken pieces?" Maya turned the cylinder, finding a small opening. "Maybe it's not broken. Maybe they just think we're too dumb to know what it is." Over the next few days, more shipments arrived. The government started storing the junk in warehouses, unsure what to do with it. Most people began to ignore the aliens, disappointed by their useless gifts. But Tom and Maya saw an opportunity. They got permission to study the alien materials, claiming they wanted to understand the Federation's technology level. No one expected them to find anything useful. The warehouse they worked in was massive, filled with containers of alien scrap. Maya set up a small lab in the corner, away from security cameras. "Look at this," she whispered to Tom one evening, showing him a piece of metal that bent and then returned to its original shape when heated. "This material could revolutionize our entire aerospace industry." Tom picked up what looked like a broken engine part. "And this, the energy readings are off the charts. It's still active." Day after day, they cataloged the junk, slowly understanding that they were looking at pieces of advanced ships, weapons, and tools, just disassembled or slightly damaged. "They're not giving us trash," Tom realized. "They're giving us parts they think are too broken to be useful. But they don't know humans." Maya grinned. "We've been fixing things our whole existence. It's what we do." 1 month after the aliens arrived, Tom and Maya had filled 3 notebooks with diagrams and theories. They learned that the Federation consisted of dozens of species who believed themselves superior to primitive races like humans. "They're making a big mistake," Maya said, connecting 2 alien devices that sparked to life. "They think because we don't have their technology, we don't have the brains to use it." Tom watched as the connected devices projected a holographic map of the galaxy. "We need more people who think differently." They found Jack, a mechanic who could fix anything with moving parts. Then came Diane, a computer programmer who had been trying to decode the alien language. Lee joined next, a physicist who had already been experimenting with alien power sources. Together, they formed a secret team, working after hours in the warehouse. What exactly are we doing here? Jack asked one night, as they arranged pieces of alien tech on the floor in a pattern Maya had designed. Tom looked at the rough outline they had created, shaped vaguely like a ship. We're learning. For now. But Maya had bigger ideas. We're doing what humans have always done. Taking scraps and building something new. The team worked tirelessly, connecting pieces that weren't meant to go together, solving problems the aliens thought beyond human capability. 3 months after first contact, Dorin returned to check on Earth's progress. He met with world leaders who complained about the useless materials they had received. We expected working technology, one president said, not broken parts. Dorin's expression remained neutral. The gifts match your current development level. You must learn to crawl before you can walk. Unknown to Dorin, in the warehouse across town, something miraculous was happening. Maya had connected the cylinder Tom first found to an array of other components. The resulting power surge lit up their entire testing area with blue light. It works, Maya shouted as the alien engine hummed to life. The propulsion system works. Tom stared at the glowing device, his mind racing with possibilities. They gave us their leftovers because they thought we couldn't use them. They were wrong. Later that night, as the team celebrated their breakthrough, Tom unrolled a large paper on the table. On it was a rough design, bigger and more ambitious than anything they had discussed before. "What's this?" Diane asked, studying the drawing. "The future," Tom replied. "If we can make one engine work, we can make more. We can build something they never imagined possible." "A ship," Lee whispered, understanding dawning on his face. Tom nodded. "Not just any ship, something that combines their technology with human ingenuity, something that will change everything." Maya looked at the design, then at the pile of junk surrounding them. Her eyes shined with determination. "They gave us scrap." Tom finished her thought. "And we'll build the most feared warship in the galaxy." None of them knew then how prophetic those words would become, or how their secret project would soon reshape the stars themselves. 3 weeks after their first engine test, Tom's team faced a problem. The warehouse was no longer safe. Too many officials were asking questions about missing alien parts. "We need a new place," Tom said during their midnight meeting. "Somewhere off the grid." Jack, the mechanic, leaned back in his chair. "I might know a spot. My uncle worked at the old mining station on asteroid B7. It's been empty for years." Maya's eyes lit up. "A space station. That's perfect." Getting to the asteroid wasn't easy. They needed a ship, supplies, and a way to move all their collected alien tech without anyone noticing. But Tom had connections from his military days, and Lee had friends at the space agency. 1 month later, they arrived at asteroid B7. The old mining station was cold and dark, but it had something priceless: privacy. "Home sweet home," Diane said, her breath visible in the cold air as they floated through the abandoned corridors. She was already planning how to hack the station's old systems. Tom looked around at the large empty hangar, perfect for building a ship. "No, not home. This is our shipyard." The team set up living quarters in the old crew section. During their first real meeting in space, Maya unveiled her detailed drawings. "I call it the Phoenix," she said, displaying holographic plans created using alien tech they'd modified, "because it will rise from the ashes of what they thought was junk." The design was like nothing seen before. It combined the sleek lines of human ships with the advanced systems of various alien technologies. Most impressive was the core, a power source created from 3 different alien engine parts that Maya had brilliantly connected. "Will it actually work?" Jack asked, studying the complex design. "Theory says yes," Lee answered. "These power readings are beyond anything humans have achieved. If we can harness it." "We can," Maya said firmly. "I've solved the connection issues." Tom added, "And I've figured out the navigation systems. These aliens use different concepts of space travel, but the basics are similar." For weeks, they worked tirelessly. Each person brought unique skills. Jack could make parts fit together that weren't designed to connect. Diane decoded alien computer systems and created interfaces humans could use. Lee understood the physics behind the strange technologies. Maya saw the big picture, how everything should integrate. And Tom kept them focused, organized, and motivated. They faced countless problems. Sometimes alien parts would overheat or short out when connected to human systems. Other times, the power from the core was too strong and fried their equipment. After one particularly bad explosion that nearly cost Jack his hand, doubt began to creep in. "Maybe we're trying to do too much," Diane said that night as they ate their simple meal of reheated space rations. "Maybe the aliens were right. Maybe we're not ready." Tom looked around at their tired faces. Every great achievement in human history started with someone doing what others thought was impossible. The first flight, the first moon landing, the first Mars colony. This is no different. "Except we're trying to build the most advanced ship in the galaxy with scraps," Jack said, bandaging his burned hand. Maya stood up suddenly. "That's exactly why we'll succeed. Don't you see? The Federation builds ships using standard parts and standard thinking. We're forced to innovate, to see connections they can't." Her passion rekindled their determination. The next day, they tried a new approach. Instead of forcing alien tech to work with human systems, they created a hybrid interface, part alien, part human, that could translate between the two. It worked. The core stabilized. The navigation system came online. The weapons system, crafted from what appeared to be broken defense mechanisms, began responding to their controls. 3 months into the project, they received an unexpected visitor. A small Federation ship docked at the station. Tom and the others hid their work and prepared to face whoever had found them. The airlock opened to reveal Sam Green, Tom's old friend from NASA. "Thought I'd find you here," he said, looking around curiously. "The higher-ups are asking questions about missing alien artifacts." Tom tensed. "Are you here to arrest us?" Sam laughed. "No, I'm here to join you. Whatever you're building, I want in." Sam brought news from Earth. The Federation was expanding its presence, establishing a permanent base. They continued to treat humans like children, offering limited technology and patronizing advice. They held a demonstration yesterday, Sam told them as they sat in the small cafeteria. Showed off one of their smaller ships. Made sure to explain everything simply so we could understand. "What was their ship like?" Maya asked eagerly. "Fast, powerful, but nothing compared to what you're building here," Sam said, having now seen the Phoenix. "They have no idea what humans are capable of." Sam brought something else, more alien parts, newer ones, taken from recent shipments. These weren't broken, they were just deemed too advanced for humans to use. With these new components, the Phoenix truly began to take shape. The hull was assembled from a combination of Earth metals and alien alloys. The bridge featured a mix of familiar human controls and advanced alien interfaces. 6 months after starting, they stood before their creation. The Phoenix wasn't pretty. Its hull was a patchwork of different materials, and wires ran along the corridors instead of neatly behind walls. But it looked powerful, dangerous even, with sharp angles and a sleek design, despite its makeshift nature. "She's beautiful," Maya whispered, her hand touching the ship's side. "Is she ready to fly?" Tom asked. Lee checked his diagnostics one last time. "All systems are operational, but we haven't tested her in actual space conditions. We won't know until we tried," Tom said. He looked at each team member. "Who's coming?" Every hand went up. They had all given up too much to miss this moment. As they prepared for the Phoenix's first flight, a message came through on their emergency channel. The Federation was calling all ships in the sector. An unknown hostile force had entered the system and was attacking a Federation outpost near Saturn. Tom looked at his team. "The Federation ships won't get there in time." "We're not ready," Lee warned. We need more tests. We're as ready as we'll ever be, Tom replied. And people need help. Maya nodded. This is why we built her. Not just to prove we could, but to make a difference. The decision was made. The Phoenix would have her trial by fire. As the engines powered up, humming with energy that made the whole asteroid vibrate, Tom took his place in the captain's chair. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do with a pile of scrap, he said. The Phoenix rose from the hangar, her makeshift hull gleaming in the starlight, ready to change the course of galactic history forever. The Phoenix shot through space faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. The view from the bridge was stunning. Stars streaking by as the hybrid engines pushed them to speeds that should have crushed them. But the alien shield technology, modified by Maya's team, kept them safe inside. How long until we reach Saturn? Tom asked, gripping the captain's chair as the ship vibrated beneath him. Diane checked their navigation system, a mix of alien star charts and human interface design. 20 minutes. That's impossible. It should take days. Not with these engines, Maya said proudly from her engineering station. We're bending space in ways the Federation doesn't think we understand. Sam monitored the communications. I'm picking up distress signals. The outpost is under heavy attack. Federation ships are responding but won't arrive for hours. Any information on the attackers? Tom asked. Sam shook his head. Only that they call themselves the Krell. They showed up without warning and opened fire. As they approached Saturn, they saw the battle. A small Federation outpost, a research station studying Saturn's rings, was surrounded by 5 black ships. The station's shields were failing, emergency lights flashing across its surface. Sensors detect 23 Federation personnel on that station, Lee reported. The Krell ships are heavily armed. Tom looked at his crew. None of them had combat experience in space. Their ship was untested. They were outnumbered 5-1. Options, he asked. We could call for backup, Jack suggested. Backup won't get here in time, Maya said, checking the station's shield readings. They have minutes, not hours. Tom made his decision. Weapons status. Online, but untested, Lee replied. The targeting system is a hybrid of 3 different alien technologies. I've never seen anything like it. Can you make it work? Lee nodded slowly. I think so. That's good enough. Battle stations. Everyone. Tom straightened in his chair. Let's see what Phoenix can do. The Phoenix dropped out of its high-speed travel near Saturn, the giant planet filling half their view screen. The attacking ships didn't notice them at first, focused on breaking through the station's last defenses. They haven't seen us, Sam said. We have surprise on our side. Not for long, Tom replied. Open a channel to the station. A moment later, a surprised Federation officer appeared on screen. His blue skin identified him as the same species as Doran. This is Captain Tom Reed of the Earth ship Phoenix. We're here to help. The alien looked confused. Earth ship? Impossible. Your species has no vessels capable of interstellar travel. We're full of surprises, Tom smiled. Hold on a little longer. Before the alien could respond, Tom turned to Lee. Target the nearest Krell ship. Let's show them what humans can do with some scrap. The weapons system Maya had designed was unlike anything in human or Federation arsenals. It combined 3 different alien weapon technologies that weren't meant to work together. The result was unpredictable but powerful. When Lee fired, a pulse of energy, part beam, part wave, shot from the Phoenix. It hit the nearest Krell ship and simply unmade it. The black vessel didn't explode. It disintegrated, breaking apart at the molecular level. Everyone on the bridge stared in shock. Did we do that? Jack whispered. Maya checked her readings. The weapon combined a Federation particle beam with a disassembly field from another technology. It's more powerful than I calculated. The remaining Krell ships finally noticed them. All 4 turned, abandoning their attack on the station to focus on this new threat. They're coming for us, Sam warned. Evasive maneuvers, Tom ordered. Jack took the controls, and the Phoenix moved with surprising grace for a ship built from mismatched parts. The vessel spun and dove between enemy fire, its enhanced shields absorbing the few hits that landed. The handling is amazing, Jack said with wonder in his voice. It's responding to my thoughts almost before I have them. That's the neural interface I installed, Maya explained. It's reading your intentions milliseconds before your hands move. The Phoenix danced around Saturn's rings, using the ice and dust as cover. The Krell ships were fast, but rigid in their movements, following standard attack patterns. They don't adapt, Tom realized. They're flying by the book. Then let's throw away the book, Jack grinned, sending the Phoenix into a maneuver no sane pilot would attempt, straight through a gap in Saturn's rings, scraping ice particles against their shields, emerging behind two Krell vessels. Fire, Tom ordered. Lee fired twice. Two more Krell ships disintegrated. The remaining two ships broke formation, trying to escape. They're running, Sam reported, surprise in his voice. Let one go, Tom decided. The galaxy should know what happened here. Target the other. The fourth Krell ship disappeared in the same molecular disassembly as the others. The final ship jumped away, vanishing into faster-than-light travel. As the Phoenix approached the damaged Federation station, cheers erupted from the bridge. They had done it. Their makeshift ship had defeated 4 enemy vessels that the Federation feared. The station's commander, an alien named Tech, met them at the airlock. His expression was a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "You saved my crew," he said to Tom. "But how? Earth has no such technology." Tom smiled. "We didn't need your technology. We just needed your scrap." Tech invited them aboard. The station crew, a mix of different alien species, stared at the humans with new eyes. Gone was the patronizing attitude. Now there was respect, even awe. "Our sensors analyzed your ship during the battle," Tech said as they gathered in the station's control room. "It contains elements from at least 7 different galactic technologies, some of which don't normally function together." "We made them work," Maya said simply. "Impossible," one of the alien engineers protested. "These systems are fundamentally incompatible." "Not if you look at them differently," Lee explained. "Where you see barriers, we see bridges waiting to be built." News of the battle spread quickly. The Phoenix had arrived at Saturn in minutes rather than days, destroyed 4 Krell warships with ease, and saved a Federation station. The story grew with each telling. By the time they returned to their asteroid base, messages were waiting. The Federation Council wanted to meet them. The Krell had retreated from Federation space entirely, and Earth's leaders were both proud and concerned about what Tom's team had created. "What do we do now?" Sam asked as they gathered in their makeshift meeting room. "The Federation will want our ship," Maya warned. "They'll say we stole their technology. And the Krell will return, looking for revenge," Lee added. Tom looked at each of his crew members, then at the Phoenix docked in their hangar. The ship that shouldn't exist. The ship built from alien scrap by human hands. "Now," he said with determination, "we show the galaxy that humanity isn't just another primitive species to be patronized. We're a force to be reckoned with." The Phoenix had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the battle at Saturn, a large Federation ship arrived at asteroid B7. It carried Admiral Zorin, a high-ranking official with dark purple skin and cold eyes. He demanded to inspect the Phoenix. "This vessel contains Federation technology," Zorin said as he stood in the hangar, looking up at the patchwork ship. "Technology that was not given to humans for this purpose." Tom stood his ground. "You gave us broken parts. Scrap. We fixed them and built something new. That makes the Phoenix ours." Zorin's face hardened. "The Federation Council disagrees. They have ordered me to seize this vessel for proper study and disposal." "Disposal?" Maya stepped forward, anger clear on her face. "We just saved your research station. We stopped an enemy your ships couldn't reach in time. And we are grateful, Zoran said without sounding grateful at all. But primitive species cannot be allowed to possess technology beyond their development level. It upsets the natural order. Tom looked at his crew. They had worked too hard to give up the Phoenix now. But fighting the Federation directly would make them enemies of every advanced species in the galaxy. Before Tom could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple ships detected approaching at high speed. Diane called from her monitoring station. They're Krell. At least 12 vessels, heavily armed. Zoran paled. 12. Not even our fleet could stand against so many. We beat 4 of them, Jack reminded him. With the element of surprise, Zoran countered. They will be prepared now. I must return to my ship and call for reinforcements. He turned to leave. Tom caught his arm. Your reinforcements won't get here in time. But the Phoenix can fight. Let us help. Zoran hesitated, then nodded stiffly. Very well. But when this is over, the ship comes with me. Tom didn't argue. First, they had to survive. Minutes later, the Phoenix launched from the asteroid, with Zoran's Federation vessel following behind. The Krell fleet was visible now, black ships against the stars, moving with purpose toward the asteroid base. They tracked us here, Sam said quietly. They want revenge for their lost ships. And they'll get more than they bargained for, Tom replied. He turned to Zoran, who stood uncomfortably on the bridge. Admiral, your ship has better long-range sensors. What can you tell us about their weapons? Despite his attitude, Zoran was a professional. They've modified their ships. Added extra shielding against your disintegration weapon. Maya studied the readings. They adapted quickly. But so can we. She worked with Lee to recalibrate their weapons system, changing the frequency and approach. Tom, meanwhile, developed a battle plan. We can't take on 12 ships directly, he told his crew. But we don't have to. Jack, can you pilot us through that asteroid field? He pointed to a dense cluster of rocks near their position. Jack grinned. With this ship, easily. Good. The Krell ships are bigger, less maneuverable. We'll make them follow us into the field, then pick them off one by one. Zoran shook his head. A desperate strategy. Sometimes desperate works, Tom replied. It's how we built this ship in the first place. The Phoenix shot toward the asteroid field, its enhanced engines easily outpacing both the Krell ships and Zoran's vessel. The enemy took the bait, following them into the dangerous field of tumbling rocks. What followed was a deadly game of hide and seek. The Phoenix would disappear behind an asteroid, wait for a Krell ship to pass, then attack from behind. Their modified weapon worked despite the enhanced shields, though it took 2 hits instead of 1 to bring down each enemy vessel. One by one, the Krell ships fell, but they learned quickly, spreading out to search for the Phoenix, firing blindly into spaces where the human ship might hide. 3 left, Lee reported after an hour of combat. But we've taken damage. Port shields are failing. A hit rocked the ship, sending everyone grabbing for support. Warning lights flashed across Maya's console. Engine 2 is down, she called. We're losing maneuverability. Another hit, then another. The Phoenix spun between 2 asteroids, barely avoiding collision. We can't take much more of this, Sam warned. Tom looked at their tactical display. The 3 remaining Krell ships were coordinating now, herding the Phoenix toward a dead end in the asteroid field. We need a new approach, he said, thinking quickly. Maya, if we overload the main core, what happens? Maya's eyes widened. A massive energy pulse. It would disable anything nearby, including us. But we'd survive. Probably. But we'd be dead in space for at least an hour while systems reset. Tom turned to Zoran. Admiral, if we disable these last 3 ships, can you finish them off? Zoran nodded slowly, new respect in his eyes. My ship's weapons are operational. But your crew will be sitting ducks, I know. But you'll protect us, right? After all, You want this ship intact. A ghost of a smile crossed Zoran's face. Indeed. Very well, Captain Reed. Execute your plan. Maya went to work, rerouting power and preparing the core for a controlled overload. The Phoenix limped deeper into the asteroid field, the Krell ships closing in for the kill. Now, Tom ordered when the enemy was close enough. The core released its energy in a blinding wave that expanded outward from the Phoenix. The pulse hit the Krell ships, shutting down their systems instantly. It also washed over the Phoenix, and darkness fell on the bridge as every system went offline. Emergency lights came on, running on basic backup power. Through the viewports, they watched as Zoran's ship moved in, methodically destroying the helpless Krell vessels. When it was over, Zoran contacted them on an emergency channel. Impressive strategy, Captain, the Admiral admitted. You've eliminated the Krell threat entirely. For now, Tom said, but there will be others. The galaxy's a dangerous place. Indeed, which is why advanced weapons must remain in responsible hands. The Phoenix floated powerless as Zoran's ship approached, tractor beams ready to capture the vessel. Tom looked at his crew. They had fought too hard to lose everything now. He nodded to Maya, who pressed a hidden button under her console. Suddenly, the Phoenix came back to life, systems returning much faster than should have been possible. What? Zoran exclaimed. How? Backup systems, Maya explained with a smile. Something we built ourselves, not from your scrap. Before Zoran could react, the Phoenix fired its engines and vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Federation ship behind. They'll come after us, Sam warned as stars streaked by on the view screen. Let them try, Tom replied. We've had a good test of what the Phoenix can do. And now we know something important. What's that? Jack asked. Tom's expression hardened. The Federation isn't protecting the galaxy. They're controlling it, keeping lesser species like us from having power. Diane nodded. Where do we go now? We can't go back to Earth. They'll look for us there first. We go where we're needed, Tom decided. There must be other worlds out there, other species being handed scraps by the Federation. Maya smiled. And we'll show them what can be built from those scraps. As the Phoenix raced through space, its reputation spread. The ship made from junk that had defeated both the Krell and outwitted the Federation. The humans who turned scrap into the most feared warship in the galaxy. They were no longer the hunted. They had become the hunters. 6 months had passed since the Phoenix became a fugitive ship. 6 months of hiding, helping, and building a legend. Tom stood on the bridge, looking at the map that showed their journey so far. They had visited 12 planets, all developing worlds under Federation control. On each world, they shared the same message. Your scraps have value. Your people have potential. Captain, Sam called from his communication station. We're receiving a distress signal from Terox. The Federation is confiscating their technology again. Tom nodded. Set course. Maximum speed. The Phoenix had grown stronger with each mission. They had added new technology, improved their systems, and even expanded their crew. 23 beings now served on the ship, humans and aliens alike, all united by the belief that the Federation's natural order was just another word for control. Terox was a small planet with orange skies and tall, slender inhabitants. When the Phoenix arrived, a Federation collection ship was already there, loading containers of local technology deemed too dangerous for the Teroxians to keep. Standard procedure, Maya said bitterly as they watched from orbit. Take anything innovative, leave them dependent. Tom opened a channel to the Federation ship. This is Captain Reed of the Phoenix. Leave that technology where it belongs and depart immediately. The Federation captain appeared on screen, his expression changing from confusion to alarm. The rogue human vessel. You are ordered to surrender at once. The Phoenix is now the most wanted ship in the galaxy. We're flattered, Tom replied. Now leave Terox, or we'll make you leave. The Federation captain smiled coldly. I think not. You see, we anticipated your arrival." He pressed a button, and suddenly 6 Federation warships appeared from behind Terox's moon. "It's a trap," Jack warned, hands moving over the flight controls. "We expected that someday," Tom said calmly. "Maya, are the new shields ready?" Maya nodded from her station. "The reflective shield system is online. Untested, but ready." "Good. Jack, keep us out of their firing arcs. Lee, target their weapons only. We don't want to destroy them if we can avoid it." The Phoenix moved with incredible speed as the Federation ships opened fire. Instead of dodging all the shots, Maya activated their new shield technology, salvaged from an ancient wreck and rebuilt by their growing team of engineers. When the Federation beams hit the shield, they bounced back toward the ships that fired them. 2 Federation vessels took heavy damage from their own weapons. "It works," Maya shouted excitedly. The battle continued above Terox, watched by millions on the planet below. The Phoenix was outnumbered but not outmatched. Its hybrid systems, constantly improved, gave it advantages the standardized Federation ships couldn't match. One by one, the Federation vessels retreated, their captains unwilling to risk further damage against this legendary ship. Finally, only the lead vessel remained. "Your days of interference are numbered," the Federation captain said through gritted teeth. "The Council has authorized the assembly of a special fleet to hunt you down. Nowhere will be safe." The transmission cut off as the final ship jumped away from Terox. The people of Terox celebrated their victory, but Tom knew the Federation captain was right. They had been lucky so far, but they couldn't fight the entire Federation alone. That night, as the crew rested on Terox, Tom called a meeting with his original team. "We've done good work," he told them. "But the Federation is building a fleet specifically to take us down. We need to think bigger." "What's bigger than the Phoenix?" Jack asked. Maya smiled. "More Phoenixes." Tom nodded. "Exactly. We've shown a dozen worlds how to use scrap technology. Now we teach them to build their own ships." "A revolution," Sam said quietly. "You're talking about a galactic revolution." "I'm talking about freedom," Tom replied. "The right of every species to develop at their own pace, in their own way, without some council deciding what they're ready for." The plan took shape quickly. The Phoenix would visit their allied worlds, sharing the designs and knowledge needed to build their own hybrid vessels. Each world would contribute what they could: resources, technology, people. For 3 months, they worked tirelessly. On 7 different planets, ships began to take form, each unique, reflecting the world that built it, but all based on the Phoenix's core design. The Federation wasn't idle. Their special fleet grew as well. 50 ships, the best in the galaxy, all hunting for the Phoenix. They found it near Earth, where everything had begun. The Phoenix had returned to recruit more human engineers and to collect the newest batch of scrap the Federation had delivered. The trap closed quickly. Federation ships surrounded Earth, cutting off escape routes. Admiral Zoran himself led the fleet. "Captain Reed," Zoran's voice came through clearly on all frequencies. "You have led us on an impressive chase, but it ends today. Surrender the Phoenix and your crew will be treated fairly." Tom looked at his team on the bridge. They had known this day might come. "Admiral," Tom replied, "look at your sensors carefully. What do you see?" Confusion crossed Zoran's face as his officers reported in, then shock. Approaching Earth were ships, 7 vessels of different designs, all built from the same principles as the Phoenix. "Impossible," Zoran whispered. "No, Admiral. Inevitable," Tom said. "You gave scraps to worlds you thought were beneath you. We showed them how to build something beautiful from those scraps." The 7 ships took position alongside the Phoenix. They were smaller, less advanced, but together they formed a powerful fleet, the Alliance of Free Worlds. They called themselves. Zoran's face darkened. "You've armed primitives with dangerous technology. The Council will never allow this." "The Council doesn't have a choice," Tom replied. These worlds built these ships themselves. They've claimed their right to grow, to advance at their own pace. For 3 tense days, the two fleets faced each other near Earth. Neither side fired. Behind the scenes, diplomats worked frantically to prevent a war that would devastate the galaxy. Finally, a compromise was reached. The Federation Council, facing pressure from within its own ranks, agreed to meet with representatives from the Alliance. 1 month later, Tom stood in the Grand Council chamber on the Federation capital world. Representatives from 23 formerly developing worlds stood with him. The Phoenix hung in orbit above, a symbol of what determination could achieve. The natural order is change, Tom told the assembled council. No species remains primitive forever. Either we grow together, learning from each other as equals, or we fight. The choice is yours. The debate lasted days. Some council members refused to see any species as equals. Others recognized that the old system was broken. In the end, a new system was born. The Federation became the Union, a true partnership of worlds at all stages of development. Technology would be shared openly, not doled out as scraps to those deemed worthy. As Tom returned to the Phoenix after the final agreement was signed, Maya met him at the airlock. "What now, Captain?" she asked. "Our mission is complete." Tom looked through a viewport at the stars beyond. "Our first mission is complete, but there's a whole galaxy out there, other species being controlled, other wrongs to right. And we have the perfect ship to do it," Maya said, patting the Phoenix's hull affectionately. Tom smiled. "Not bad for a pile of scrap, right?" The Phoenix departed the next day, heading for unexplored regions of the galaxy. Its legend continued to grow. The ship built from scraps that changed the fate of 100 worlds. The most feared warship in the galaxy, now the most celebrated. And on planets throughout the Union, when new ships were built, they carried a small symbol, a phoenix rising, reminding all that greatness can emerge from the humblest beginnings. The UES Perseverance hung in orbit above Earth, its once gleaming hull now marked with scars from 2 decades of service. The ship had never been the pride of the United Earth Space Fleet. It was simply a workhorse, reliable but unexceptional. And now, like an old horse put out to pasture, it was slated for decommissioning. Captain James Reed stood at the viewport of his quarters, looking out at the blue marble of Earth. At 53, he felt a kinship with his vessel. They were both considered past their prime by the young admirals who now commanded the fleet. His weathered face reflected in the glass, the gray at his temples matching the worn metal of his ship. "Captain, to the bridge," came the voice over the intercom, interrupting his thoughts. When Reed arrived at the bridge, his first officer, Tom Miller, was waiting. Miller was 35, tall and serious, one of the few crew members who had requested to stay with the Perseverance despite better opportunities elsewhere. "Incoming transmission from Fleet Command, sir," Miller said, standing at attention. "On screen," Reed ordered, settling into the captain's chair that had molded to his form over the years. Admiral Watson's stern face appeared on the main display. She was one of the new generation of leaders, brilliant and efficient, with little patience for sentiment. "Captain Reed," she began without preamble, "there's been a change of plans. Before the Perseverance is decommissioned, you have one final mission." Reed raised an eyebrow, but remained silent. "You're to transport a group of scientific personnel to Outpost Delta for rotation. It's a milk run, Captain, straight there and back, after which you'll proceed with the decommissioning as scheduled." "Understood, Admiral," Reed replied, hiding his disappointment at such a mundane final assignment. "There's one more thing," Watson continued, her expression shifting slightly. "Due to budget constraints, we're reassigning most of your crew immediately. You'll be operating with a skeleton crew for this mission." Reed frowned. "How skeleton are we talking, Admiral?" "You'll be receiving 20 new crew members, transfers from various posts. That should give you the minimum required to operate safely." After the transmission ended, Miller looked at Reed with concern. "Skeleton crew for a milk run. Seems excessive even for the budget hawks. Reed tapped his fingers on the armrest. And who are these transfers? Usually, no one volunteers for a ship headed to the scrapyard. 3 days later, Reed understood exactly what kind of crew he had been assigned. They were the misfits of the fleet, brilliant but problematic officers who had clashed with authority, bucked regulations, or simply didn't fit the increasingly corporate structure of the United Earth Space Fleet. Lisa Walker, his new chief engineer, had been demoted twice for modifying equipment without authorization, despite the fact that her modifications had worked brilliantly. Mike Torres, now his tactical officer, had been passed over for promotion 3 times because of his unorthodox strategic ideas that contradicted fleet doctrine. The ship's doctor, Anna Ray, had a reputation for prioritizing patience over paperwork, earning her transfers from one post to another. Reed called them all to the ship's conference room, studying their faces as they assembled. Some looked defeated, others defiant, but all showed signs of having been ground down by a system that valued conformity over creativity. "I've reviewed all your files," Reed said once they were all seated. "And I know why you're here. Each of you is considered a problem by someone up the chain of command." The room remained silent, but Reed caught several exchanged glances. "I don't care about any of that," he continued. "This is the Perseverance's final mission, and my last command. All I care about is completing our assignment competently. If you can do your jobs, your past doesn't matter to me." Walker, a compact woman with quick eyes, spoke up. "Permission to speak freely, Captain." Reed nodded. "This ship is outdated, running on systems 2 generations behind the current fleet standard. I've been reviewing the maintenance logs. It'll take some creativity just to keep her functioning properly for this mission." "Then be creative, Chief," Reed replied with a slight smile. "That's why you're here, isn't it? Because you don't do things by the book." For the first time, something like hope flickered across Walker's face. Over the next 2 days, the small crew worked to prepare the Perseverance for departure. Reed was impressed despite himself. These officers might have been rejects in the eyes of the fleet, but they knew their jobs. Walker had already improved engine efficiency by 8% with modifications that definitely weren't in any official manual. Torres had recalibrated the outdated weapon systems to perform nearly as well as newer models. The ship was scheduled to depart in 12 hours when the message came through. "Captain, emergency transmission from Outpost Gamma," called out Communications Officer Ben Park, his voice tense. "They're under attack." Reed rushed to the bridge where the rest of the command crew was already gathering. "Put it on screen." The transmission was fragmented, breaking up with static, but the message was clear enough. Outpost Gamma, one of the frontier colonies, was under attack by forces identifying as the Dominion, an aggressive coalition of 3 alien species that had been expanding their territory at the expense of any worlds in their path. "Request immediate assistance," said the colonial governor, fear evident in his voice. "They've landed ground forces and have orbital superiority. Civilian casualties there." The transmission cut off. Reed turned to his communications officer. "Contact Fleet Command immediately." After a brief conversation with Admiral Watson, Reed's expression darkened. "What's the word, sir?" Miller asked. "The main response fleet is 3 days out at best speed," Reed replied. "Command has ordered us to remain in orbit and await the arrival of battle-ready vessels." 3 days, Torres exclaimed. "Gamma will be overrun by then. There are 10,000 civilians on that outpost." Reed looked around at his crew of misfits and his aging, obsolete ship. Fleet regulations were clear. The Perseverance wasn't classified for frontline combat operations anymore. Engaging with enemy forces would be a direct violation of orders. He thought of all the times he had followed orders throughout his career, of the growing rigidity of the fleet, and of the lives hanging in the balance. "Mr. Miller, set course for Outpost Gamma. Maximum speed," Reed said, settling into his captain's chair with new purpose. Miller hesitated for just a moment. "Sir, that contradicts Fleet Command's direct order." Reed met his first officer's gaze steadily. "I'm aware of that, Mr. Miller. Are you refusing the order? A slow smile spread across Miller's face. No, sir. Setting course for Outpost Gamma. As the Perseverance broke orbit and accelerated toward the jump point, Reed knew this would be his last command one way or another. But perhaps, just perhaps, this obsolete ship and its crew of rejects might make a difference before they were done. No one feared the UES Perseverance. It had never been the fastest, the strongest, or the most advanced vessel in the fleet. But as it leaped into faster-than-light travel on a collision course with the Dominion forces, that was about to change. The UES Perseverance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Gamma system. The bridge crew tensed as the main view screen displayed the scene before them. "Tactical assessment, Mr. Torres," Captain Reed ordered, his voice steady despite the sight of 3 large Dominion warships orbiting the small colony world. Torres' fingers flew across his console. 3 heavy cruisers in orbit, sir. They're deploying landing craft to the surface. Colony defenses are minimal. They've already lost their orbital platform. Life signs on the surface? Reed asked. Dr. Ray checked her readings. Multiple human life signs, concentrated in the main settlement, and moving toward the emergency shelters. Dominion forces are spreading out from 3 landing zones. Reed nodded grimly. They don't know we're here yet. Let's keep it that way. He turned to his first officer. Mr. Miller, I want us to approach from behind the planet's moon. We'll use it for cover. Sir, Torres interjected, even with the element of surprise, we can't take on 3 Dominion cruisers. The Perseverance isn't built for that kind of fight. I'm aware of our limitations, Mr. Torres, Reed replied. We're not here to win a battle. We're here to save lives. He looked around at his crew. Our priority is evacuating as many colonists as possible. As the Perseverance maneuvered behind Gamma's moon, Reed called his senior officers to the tactical room. The holographic display showed the colony and the Dominion positions. The colony has 3 emergency shelters here, here, and here, Reed pointed. Each has a landing pad large enough for our shuttles. We'll send all 4 of our shuttles down in rotation while the Perseverance creates a distraction. What kind of distraction can we create that won't get us destroyed? Miller asked. Lisa Walker, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. Captain, I've been studying the Dominion ships. Their systems are highly advanced, more integrated than ours. But that might be a weakness. She tapped controls on the display, highlighting the enemy ship's communication arrays. They rely heavily on constant data exchange between ships. If we could disrupt that, even briefly, it might create enough confusion for our shuttles to get in and out. Reed looked at her with interest. How do you propose we do that, Chief? Walker smiled for the first time since coming aboard. Our outdated communication system operates on frequencies the Dominion doesn't use anymore. They won't be scanning for them. We can use our main communication array to blast interference across their coordination channels. Will that work? Miller asked doubtfully. In theory, Walker replied. But we'll need to get close. Reed considered this. Close enough to be a target. Yes, sir. Reed made his decision. We'll approach from behind the moon, broadcasting the interference. Once their ships show signs of confusion, we'll launch the shuttles. Mr. Torres, I want you to prepare some surprises to keep their attention on us and away from our shuttles. Torres grinned. I have a few ideas, Captain. 4 hours later, the plan was in motion. The Perseverance emerged from behind the moon, broadcasting focused interference that scrambled the Dominion ship's coordination. As predicted, the enemy vessels responded with momentary confusion, their movements becoming uncoordinated. Shuttles away, Miller reported as the 4 evacuation craft launched toward the planet's surface. Now, Mr. Torres, Reed ordered, keep their attention on us. Torres initiated his surprises, a series of modified probes that mimicked weapon signatures, creating phantom targets for the Dominion ships to track. On the surface, the shuttle teams worked frantically to evacuate colonists from the emergency shelters. Dominion ground forces had already reached the outskirts of the settlement, and the sound of weapons fire could be heard in the distance. Lieutenant Kelly Adams, leading the ground team, directed colonists into the shuttles. Move quickly. Women and children first, then the elderly. A young colony security officer approached her. The Dominion forces are getting closer. They'll be here in minutes. Adams nodded. Hold them off as long as you can. We'll need 3 more shuttle runs to get everyone. Back in orbit, the Perseverance was dancing a dangerous ballet with the Dominion cruisers. Reed had ordered the ship to make seemingly random maneuvers while continuing to broadcast interference. They're adapting to our jamming, Walker reported from engineering. I'm changing frequencies, but it won't fool them for long. Shuttle 1 returning with evacuees, Miller announced. Shuttles 2 and 3 are still loading. Shuttle 4 is en route back to the surface for a second run. Reed gripped the arms of his chair as a near miss from a Dominion energy weapon rocked the ship. Damage report. Minor damage to the outer hull, Walker replied. Shields holding at 78%. Sir, Torres called out urgently. One of the Dominion ships is breaking off to investigate the shuttle activity. Reed thought quickly. Mr. Torres, target their propulsion systems. Fire when ready. The Perseverance's outdated weapons shouldn't have posed much threat to the advanced Dominion vessel, but Torres had spent the previous day recalibrating and modifying them specifically to target known weaknesses in Dominion shielding. The shots hit with surprising effectiveness, causing the enemy ship to veer off course. Direct hit, Torres exclaimed with surprise in his voice. Their port thrusters are damaged. For the next 2 hours, the Perseverance continued its dangerous game, drawing fire while the shuttles worked to evacuate as many colonists as possible. The ship took multiple hits, and damage reports flowed in from all sections. Final shuttle approaching, Miller reported, his uniform stained with smoke from a console fire that had been extinguished minutes earlier. They crammed in as many as they could, but they had to leave some behind. Reed's face hardened at this news. How many? About 200 colonists couldn't be evacuated, Miller replied grimly. Mostly colony defense forces who stayed behind to cover the retreat. As the final shuttle docked, the Dominion ships coordinated their attack, their systems having finally adapted to the Perseverance's interference. All 3 cruisers are moving to cut off our escape route, Torres warned. Maximum power to engines, Reed ordered. Set course for the jump point. As the Perseverance accelerated away from the planet, the crew worked to tend to the nearly 800 evacuees now crowded into every available space on the ship. In his ready room, Reed received a troubling report from Dr. Ray. Among the evacuees was a colonial intelligence officer who had managed to recover data about Dominion fleet movements. Captain, the intelligence officer said, her face grave, the attack on Gamma was just the beginning. The Dominion is assembling an armada, over 50 ships. They're planning a full-scale invasion of human space. Reed stared at the data. Have you transmitted this to Fleet Command? The woman shook her head. All long-range communications are being jammed. Your ship is the only warning Earth has. Reed looked out his viewport at the streaking stars as the Perseverance fled at maximum speed. Behind them, the 3 Dominion cruisers were in pursuit. Ahead lay an uncertain path to Earth with vital information that could save billions of lives. The UEA's Perseverance, old, damaged, and overcrowded, had just become humanity's most important ship. We've lost them, Torres announced with relief as the Perseverance emerged from its 3rd random jump in 6 hours. The tactical officer's shoulders plumped with exhaustion, but a small smile played on his lips. Captain Reed nodded. Good work. Now we need to decide our next move. He looked around at his senior officers gathered in the conference room. The strain of the past 24 hours showed on every face. We have to get back to Earth with this intelligence, Miller said, gesturing to the data they'd received from the colonial officer. The fleet needs to know about the Dominion Armada. If we head straight for Earth, the Dominion ships will likely intercept us, Reed replied. We're not fast enough to outrun them on a direct course. Lisa Walker, who had been studying the star charts, looked up. "Captain, I have another idea. What if we don't run from the Armada? What if we follow it instead?" The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the engineer. "Explain," Reed said after a moment. Walker pointed to the star map. "Based on the intelligence report, the Dominion Armada is gathering here, at these coordinates. If we can get close enough to observe them without being detected, we might learn more about their plans, possibly find a weakness. We might even be able to get a message to Earth through back channels." "That's insanely risky," Miller objected. "One old ship against an entire armada." "Not against them," Walker corrected. "Near them. The Perseverance has one advantage. It's considered obsolete. The Dominion's advanced scanning systems are calibrated to detect current-generation human ships. Our older power signature and communication systems might register as background noise or minor anomalies." Reed considered this. "So we could potentially shadow the Armada undetected." "It's possible," Walker said. "Not certain, but possible." Torres leaned forward, his tactical mind engaged. "If we could get close enough, we might be able to gather detailed information about their fleet composition, weaknesses, maybe even their attack plans." Reed looked at each officer in turn, weighing the enormous risk against the potential reward. Finally, he nodded. "Set course for the Dominion gathering point. Maximum stealth protocols." 3 days later, the Perseverance lurked at the edge of a dense asteroid field, its systems powered down to minimal levels. Through the main view screen, the crew stared in silent horror at the Dominion Armada. 67 ships, Torres whispered, reading from his tactical display. 23 heavy cruisers, 32 destroyers, 5 carriers with fighter squadrons, and 7 support vessels. "If that force reaches Earth, the fleet won't stand a chance," Miller said grimly. Reed turned to Walker. "Status of our detection measures." "So far, we're registering as a minor electromagnetic anomaly," she replied. "I've modified our hull plating to absorb most of their scanning frequencies. As long as we stay among these asteroids and keep power levels low, we should remain undetected." For the next 2 days, the crew of the Perseverance meticulously catalogued everything they could about the Dominion fleet. Torres noted weapons capabilities and defensive systems. Walker analyzed their power signatures and communication frequencies. Dr. Ray even studied what little they could determine about Dominion biology from long-range scans. In engineering, Walker made a discovery that changed everything. "Captain, you need to see this," she called over the comm system, her voice tight with excitement. When Reed arrived in engineering, Walker was hunched over a workstation, surrounded by complex energy pattern analyses. "I've been studying the Dominion ship's power distribution," she explained. "Their systems are incredibly advanced, integrated neural networks that process data at speeds our computers can't match. But they're also incredibly sensitive to certain types of electromagnetic interference." "Like the interference we used at Gamma?" Reed asked. "Similar, but more targeted," Walker replied. "Their ships communicate using quantum entanglement channels, almost impossible to jam using conventional methods. But their systems have to translate those quantum signals into commands for mechanical systems." She pointed to a specific energy pattern on her screen. "That translation happens at this frequency range. And guess what? The Perseverance's old fusion drive, when operating at 87% capacity, produces harmonic resonance waves that interfere with exactly that range." Reed's eyes widened as he understood the implications. "You're saying our outdated drive system could disrupt their ship functions?" "Not just disrupt," Walker said with a growing smile. "In theory, it could temporarily paralyze them. They'd lose coordination between their neural networks and physical systems for maybe 30 seconds before their automatic compensation kicks in." 30 seconds could be enough time to get a shot in, Reed mused. "Or escape if needed," Walker added. Reed was about to respond when the ship's alarm blared. He rushed back to the bridge. "Dominion scout ship," Torres reported as Reed entered. "It's conducting a sweep of the asteroid field. Current trajectory will bring it within direct visual range in 3 minutes. Options, Reed demanded. We can try to move deeper into the asteroid field, Miller suggested, but the engine power required might give away our position. Or we can hold position and hope their sensors don't pick us up, Torres added. Reed made his decision. Neither. Mr. Torres, power up weapons. Target their engines only. Sir? Miller questioned, surprised. If they detect us, the entire Armada will know we're here, Reed explained. We need to take them out quickly and completely. Walker's discovery gives us a chance. He opened a channel to engineering. Chief, I need you to bring the drive to exactly 87% power when I give the word. Focus the harmonic output through the forward deflector. Ready when you are, Captain, Walker replied. The bridge crew watched tensely as the Dominion scout ship grew larger on the view screen, methodically scanning the asteroid field. It's changing course, Torres reported suddenly. Coming directly toward us. I think they've detected something. Reed leaned forward in his chair. Steady. Wait for my mark. The scout ship approached, its sleek, predatory form now clearly visible. They're powering up weapons, Torres warned. Now, Chief, Reed ordered. The Perseverance's engines hummed to life at precisely 87% power. Walker channeled the harmonic resonance through the forward deflector, directing it like a beam at the approaching scout. The effect was immediate and startling. The Dominion ship suddenly drifted, its lights flickering. Its weapons powered down mid-charge. Fire, Reed commanded. Torres launched a precisely targeted shot that struck the scout's engine section. The hit was perfect, disabling the ship without destroying it. Their systems are offline, Torres reported with amazement. No distress signal was sent. A cheer erupted on the bridge, quickly silenced by Reed's raised hand. This confirms Walker's theory, he said. We have a weapon the Dominion isn't prepared for. He looked around at his crew, determination in his eyes. And we're going to use it. As the disabled scout drifted powerless through space, the crew of the Perseverance began to realize something extraordinary. Their obsolete ship, the vessel no one had feared, might be the only one capable of stopping the Dominion Armada. The senior officers of the Perseverance gathered around the tactical display in the conference room. The holographic image showed the Dominion Armada, a massive collection of warships now moving in formation toward human space. They've begun their advance, Reed said, his voice grave. At their current speed, they'll reach the outer colonies in 36 hours. Earth Fleet Headquarters won't be able to gather enough ships in time. We need to slow them down, Miller stated, saying what everyone was thinking. Reed nodded. Exactly. We can't stop them alone, but if we can delay their progress, give the fleet time to organize a proper defense. He let the thought hang in the air. Torres leaned forward, studying the display. The Armada is staying in tight formation. Their front ships are scanning for threats, but their rear guard is lighter than I'd expect. Walker, who had spent the last 12 hours refining her harmonic resonance theory, spoke up. Captain, I've been working on expanding our disruptive capabilities. I think I can modify our main deflector to broadcast the harmonic resonance in a wider pattern. It won't be as effective as a focused beam, but it could affect multiple ships at once. How many? Reed asked. 3, maybe 4 if they're close together, Walker replied. But it will put enormous strain on our power systems. We'd only get 1 or 2 bursts before we'd need to reset. Reed considered this information. We need to make those bursts count. He pointed to an area ahead of the Armada's path. What about this nebula? Could it help us? Torres examined the region. The Kelnar Nebula. Dense ionized gases, magnetic disturbances. It would interfere with sensors on both sides. But his eyes lit up with understanding. The Dominion's integrated systems would suffer more than our older tech. It's the same principle as Walker's resonance discovery. They'll have to pass through or around it. Reed noted, if we could lure some of their ships into the nebula, we'd have the advantage, Torres finished. Their advanced targeting systems would be nearly useless. While our manual targeting could still function, a plan began to take shape. The Perseverance would reveal itself just enough to draw a portion of the Dominion fleet into the nebula, where Walker's harmonic disruption could be deployed to maximum effect. With luck, they could disable enough ships to create a blockage, forcing the Armada to alter course or slow down to clear the path. "It's risky," Miller cautioned. "If too many ships follow us in, or if the harmonic disruption doesn't work as expected, we'll be destroyed," Reed acknowledged. "But if we do nothing, billions of lives are at stake." The vote was unanimous. They would take the chance. 6 hours later, the Perseverance positioned itself at the edge of the Kelmar Nebula, power systems at minimal levels except for a deliberately leaky communication signal, just enough to catch the attention of the Dominion's forward scouts. "They've detected us," Torres reported from Tactical. "2 destroyer-class vessels are breaking formation to investigate." Reed nodded calmly. "Let them get a good look, then take us into the nebula. Slow enough that they think they can catch us." The Perseverance glided into the multicolored gases of the nebula, the pursuing Dominion ships following exactly as hoped. As soon as they entered the dense clouds, their sensors began to struggle. "They're still following, but they've slowed," Torres reported. "They're having trouble tracking us." "Good. How many ships are following now?" Reed asked. Torres checked his readings. 4 destroyers, and a heavy cruiser has joined the hunt. Reed couldn't suppress a small smile. "Better than we expected. Take us deeper, to the coordinates we selected." The Perseverance navigated through the nebula using old-fashioned stellar navigation techniques that had been programmed into the ship's computers decades ago. The Dominion ships, reliant on their advanced sensors, moved more cautiously through the colorful fog. When they reached the designated position, a particularly dense pocket of the nebula, Reed gave the order. "Battle stations. Prepare the harmonic burst." Walker's voice came over the comm from engineering. "Harmonic resonator charged and ready, Captain. We'll get 2 bursts at most before the system overheats." "Understood. On my mark," Reed replied. "Mr. Torres, target the lead destroyer with conventional weapons. Fire as soon as their systems are disrupted." The bridge crew tensed as the shapes of the Dominion ships became visible through the nebula, their sleek forms distorted by the colorful gases. "Now," Reed ordered. The Perseverance unleashed the harmonic burst, broadcasting the precise frequency that interfered with the Dominion ship's neural networks. The effect was immediate. All 5 enemy vessels slowed to a drift, their systems temporarily paralyzed. "Fire," Reed commanded. Torres launched a precisely targeted barrage at the lead destroyer's propulsion system. The shots connected perfectly, causing a cascade of secondary explosions along the ship's engine section. "Direct hit," Torres reported. "Their engines are offline." But the victory was short-lived. As predicted, the Dominion ship's systems began to recover after 30 seconds. "Second burst ready," Walker reported. "Hold," Reed ordered. "Let's see what they do first." The remaining Dominion ships, now aware of their vulnerability, began to spread out, making it impossible to catch all of them in a single burst. But something unexpected happened. The disabled lead destroyer, now drifting without control, collided with one of its companions. Both ships' emergency systems activated, filling the nebula with distress signals. Reed saw the opportunity. "Mr. Miller, take us behind that cruiser. Chief Walker, prepare for focused burst on my mark." The Perseverance maneuvered through the nebula with surprising agility for an older vessel. When they emerged behind the Dominion cruiser, Reed didn't hesitate. Now, the second harmonic burst hit the cruiser directly. As its systems froze, Torres fired every weapon they had at its engine section. The cruiser's reactor containment failed, causing a massive explosion that damaged 2 nearby destroyers. "Get us out of here, maximum speed," Reed ordered as debris scattered throughout the nebula. As the Perseverance escaped from the nebula, the crew watched in amazement at what they had accomplished. 3 Dominion ships disabled or destroyed, 2 more damaged, and the nebula now filled with wreckage and radiation that would force the Armada to detour around it. "We've bought the fleet maybe 10 hours, Torres estimated. "Not enough," Reed said grimly. "We need to do more." He studied the tactical display showing the main Armada, his mind working on an even bolder plan. "Sir," Miller said hesitantly, "what are you thinking?" Reed looked up, determination etched on his face. "Their command ship. If we could disable or destroy it, the entire Armada would be thrown into confusion." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. "That's not just risky, Captain," Miller finally said. "It's suicide." Reed's expression didn't change. "I'm not asking anyone to volunteer. I'll take a shuttle myself if necessary." "How would you even get aboard their command ship?" Torres asked. Reed's eyes returned to the display. "They have a weakness we haven't exploited yet. Their overconfidence. They think we're just one obsolete ship. They don't know what we're capable of." As the Perseverance raced away from the nebula, Reed outlined his audacious plan. A plan so dangerous and unlikely that it just might work. A plan that would take them directly into the heart of the Dominion Armada. "This is insane," Miller said, checking his environment suit one last time. Beside him, Reed, Torres, and Walker did the same. The 4 officers were crammed into the Perseverance's smallest shuttle, modified by Walker to mask its energy signature. "Insane, yes," Reed agreed with a grim smile. "But they won't expect it. No one would." The plan was audacious beyond reason. The shuttle would approach the Dominion command ship using debris from their earlier battle as cover. Once close enough, they would attach to the command ship's hull near a maintenance hatch that Torres had identified from their scans. Using Walker's harmonic device, now miniaturized into a portable unit, they would create a localized disruption, opening the hatch without triggering alarms. From there, they would make their way to the ship's central coordination hub and plant specially designed devices that would broadcast the harmonic disruption throughout the entire command vessel. If successful, it would paralyze the ship's systems long enough for the Perseverance to target its main communication array. "Remember," Reed said to the team, "our goal isn't to destroy their command ship. It's to disable their ability to coordinate the Armada." The shuttle launched, its engines barely more than a whisper as Walker's modifications kept its signature minimal. Behind them, the Perseverance retreated to a safe distance, ready to spring into action once the team completed their mission. For 40 tense minutes, the shuttle drifted among the debris field, slowly approaching the massive Dominion command ship. It was unlike anything the humans had seen before, nearly a kilometer long, with a design that seemed to blend organic and mechanical elements. "We're in position," Miller whispered, though there was no reason to keep his voice down in the vacuum of space. Walker activated her device as they attached to the hull. The small section of the ship's exterior went dark, systems temporarily offline. Torres quickly attached a breaching tool to the maintenance hatch, and within moments, they were inside. The interior of the Dominion ship was eerily beautiful, corridors lined with what looked like living circuitry, pulsing with energy and information. The team moved quickly, using Walker's scanner to avoid patrols. "The coordination hub should be 2 levels up," Torres said, consulting the small display on his wrist. They encountered only 2 Dominion crew members, tall insectoid beings that moved with unsettling grace. Each time, Walker's device gave them just enough disruption to slip past unnoticed. When they reached the coordination hub, however, they found it heavily guarded. 6 Dominion soldiers stood watch outside the sealed doorway. "We need a distraction," Reed whispered. Torres reached into his pack and pulled out a small device, remote harmonic emitter. "I can place it down that corridor. When activated, it should draw them away." The distraction worked perfectly. As the guards rushed to investigate the strange energy readings, the team slipped into the coordination hub, a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing the position of every ship in the Armada. 30 seconds, Walker warned as she began placing her devices around the room. That's all the time we'll have once I activate the main disruptor. Reed nodded. Torres, set the charges on the main communication relays. Miller watched the door. They worked with practiced efficiency, each knowing their role. When Walker gave the signal, they retreated to a service corridor just outside the hub. 3, 2, 1, Walker counted down, then pressed the activator. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The entire command ship seemed to shudder as systems throughout the vessel temporarily froze. Lights flickered, doors sealed or opened at random, and distant alarms began to wail. "Move," Reed ordered, and the team raced back toward their entry point, encountering confusion rather than resistance as the Dominion crew struggled to understand what was happening to their ship. They reached the maintenance hatch just as the ship's systems began to recover. Slipping back into their shuttle, they detached from the hull and drifted away, using the continuing chaos as cover. "Perseverance, this is Reed," the captain transmitted. "Phase 1 complete. Execute Phase 2. The Perseverance emerged from hiding, all weapons charged and targeting systems locked on the command ship's now identified communication array. With the command ship still recovering from the internal disruption, it was unable to coordinate an effective defense. The old ship fired everything it had at the precise weak point Torres had identified. The shots connected in a series of brilliant explosions that rippled across the command ship's hull. "Direct hit," came the excited voice of the officer left in command of the Perseverance. "Their main communication array is completely destroyed." As the shuttle raced back to the Perseverance, the crew watched in amazement as the effect of their attack spread throughout the Dominion Armada. Without the command ship's coordination, the tightly organized formation began to break down. Ships moved in conflicting patterns, some colliding, others firing on incorrect targets. "It's working better than we expected," Torres said in awe. "Their ships are so integrated that without central coordination, they can't function effectively as individual units." The Perseverance retrieved the shuttle and immediately set course away from the Armada, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. Behind them, the Dominion fleet had fallen into complete disarray. "Message from Earth Fleet Command," the communications officer reported as they reached safe distance. "They've picked up our emergency broadcasts. A response fleet is on the way. ETA 4 hours. When the Earth fleet arrived, they found an astonishing sight. The once mighty Dominion Armada scattered and in disorder. Several ships had been damaged in collisions, others had retreated, and the remainder were struggling to reestablish communication protocols. The Earth fleet, though smaller, engaged the disorganized enemy with devastating effect. Within hours, the Dominion forces had either been destroyed or had fled back to their own territory. 2 days later, the UES Perseverance docked at Earth's orbital station. As Reed and his crew stepped off the ship, they were met not with the retirement ceremony that had been planned, but with cheering crowds and a full honor guard. Admiral Watson, who had ordered them to stand down days earlier, was the first to greet them. "Captain Reed," she said, her usual stern expression replaced with one of respect. "Earth Fleet owes you and your crew a debt that can never be repaid." Reed shook his head. "The credit belongs to this ship and this crew, Admiral. They showed what can be accomplished when people are allowed to think creatively, even if it doesn't follow standard protocols." In the following weeks, the story of the Perseverance spread throughout human space. The ship that had been scheduled for decommissioning was instead given a complete refit, its unique capabilities now recognized as invaluable. The crew, once considered misfits and problematic officers, were celebrated as heroes and given their choice of assignments. Most chose to remain with the Perseverance, now under Reed's permanent command. 6 months later, as the Perseverance prepared for its first official mission as the flagship of a new rapid response fleet, Reed received a classified intelligence report. Dominion communications had been intercepted and translated. Among them was a new tactical directive: approach with extreme caution any human vessel matching the profile of UES Perseverance. Priority threat: avoid engagement if possible. Reed smiled.